I'm gonna read to you the first chapter of my story, Locked Up with Friend and Foe. Hadn't the floor been covered with a thick layer of straw, the boy could have broken his bones. They threw him in, through the half-opened door of the stall. I just saw a flying shadow, that was it. Despite of the afternoon sun, the light inside the stables was dim, all shades of black and blue, but nothing more. There was silence all around us, except for that unexpected noise of the body hitting the straw and then the quick ruffle of the metal bar closing the door again. I had a feeling of hearing some small sound of relieved breathing out very quietly behind the thin wooden wall I was leaning at. The men, I guessed them to be the men, didn't talk. They followed their orders quietly. My eyes had to adjust themselves to the dark, for I had been dozing with the dull feeling of having been hit with a giant foam material hammer. My whole body felt dull somehow. I only realized the paining bits when I finally started to move parts of my body carefully. Glancing into the dark, I could make out the boy more clearly now. He had fallen onto his stomach, and he tried grindingly to lift himself up again. He must be a tough one, a thought came to my mind. I had been completely weak with trembling knees when they had dragged me in here. Had it been 1 week ago, or only a couple of days? Maybe it has just been the other day. Time passes so slow when you're not able to do anything but sit around, not even daring to think what could happen next. The boy took some time until he finally got onto his knees, enough for me to have a good look at him in the shadows of the stall. I couldn't tell his age yet. I saw just some heavy boots similar to the ones I was wearing, blue jeans, a belt that must have held not only a small torchlight as it did now, but certainly a good handy toolkit with knives as well, and a darkish shirt that looked dirty and ripped at some parts. Otherwise there was just lots of hair covering most of his face from the direction I was looking at him. I didn't make a sound. I was still way too exhausted even to talk, I figured. Anyway, what should I have said then? Hi there, or welcome to the family, something funny, as I usually like to address strangers in unusual situations. But the situation was not only unusual, and there was not the slightest hint of fun around. The boy managed to move back a bit and placed himself leaning with his back to the wall, almost opposite of me. I was afraid looking at his face now. Would it be bruised? They didn't beat me up when they got me, at least as far as they could avoid it, but I was a girl after all. Well, I couldn't resist too long looking at his face much longer, and he really seemed quite young. A roundish face, bursted lips, and something which I understood for a fraction of a second as a completely naive and innocent look. That's when I called him the boy, just like that, and so quickly. He leaned his head to the wall, sucking his lower lip. Thinking of a way out, maybe? I was fascinated somehow. I was so tired I could hardly keep my eyes open, but this was a scene I didn't want to miss. How does someone else react in the same situation I found myself in just a short time ago? How will he rearrange himself? He hadn't said a word yet. Not to the man, not even some swearing. I would have sworn, I was sure, at least if I'd been a man. But I wasn't, and there had been no swearing from my side so far. Just lots of thoughts circling my brain in the short periods when it seemed bright enough to think at all. I wondered about the boy. What had been his plans? Was he all on his own? It was stupid to be all on your own, I knew that, and I thought about my crew somewhere back in the next little town. The operation itself would be carried out by one only. Until it got that far, though, we had the support and expertise of all the members. It had been me choosing to go about this place. Everybody had their favorite target, just depending on what cruelty they hated most. I was going for the water, as I had always done for years so far. But it had never gone that wrong before. Staying around the place like some uncomprehending camper, taking pictures and collecting samples. I wasn't the one to analyze them, I was just the one in the field, the one who's taking the risk, and who knows just as much as not to bring back something completely useless. I liked this kind of job, which was not really paid but could go on because of countless private donations. You could find us green fighters on the net, and I'm sure we got lots of funds also from those people who wouldn't like to know too much about our slightly illegal activities. I have always loved stories like Robin Hood, about pirates, about outlaws, those who were still the good ones. I wanted to fight against evil just like them. And now, in our postmodern, deconstructive society, I took the last and only opportunity to find a real enemy. Those raping Mother Nature to earn profit, profit, and profit again. My friends from school used to laugh at me. It wasn't enough to be praying garbage separation, they told me. That's when I decided to show them. But it took me some time still till I finally reached there. A lot of things changed in my life when I met Thomas first, who then introduced me to Gottfried, the leader of our crew. I like to call him Chief. He's someone we fully respect for his expertise, otherwise we are just a good team altogether. The boy stared straight ahead into the dark, and I was wondering if he could see me. I was wearing dark clothes, but my face, of course, even though a bit dirty, must have beamed at him. He cleared his throat, and then very fast he spoke. "What are you doing here?" What a strange question. "I'm your guard," I reacted promptly. "Well, then show yourself," he summoned. I couldn't really laugh, my answer had come without thinking. "Only joking," I therefore muttered. "Can't move, just like yourself." I could still make him out staring at me. "What's your name?" he asked. "Well, what's your name?" I countered. "Jem," he said. "I'm Maria," I offered. "Nice name," he claimed, smiling at me in the dark. "Yours doesn't sound familiar," I said. It felt good talking to somebody instead of having to cope with my own inner dialogue. But nevertheless, I didn't want to be too friendly either. He looked now as though fumbling behind his back. Casually he said, "You can call me Jeremy if you like to, but call me Jerry and I'm going to kill you." Now I laughed. "I'd like to see that." "Oh well," he said, "at least I'll kill you if they don't do it first." His voice had sounded stable, very dry. Reality dawned back on me. "Scheiße, scheiße, scheiße, verdammt nochmal," I whispered angrily. "Are you German?" he asked. I shrugged. Usually I would have held a long monologue about Austria not being Australia, but a small country in Europe which so many people didn't know. But it seemed not the right time to discuss these kinds of issues. It should have all not happened like this. I should have never come to this country, should have never heard about this place. I could have been a nice, ambitious student at some European university, sitting over my final exams now to later become an economist, doctor or lawyer, maybe even a biologist. My parents would be proud of me instead not knowing whether I was alive at all. "So, how long are you here already?" Jem asked, still looking occupied. I shrugged my shoulders shortly, stopping abrupt as they started paining. "Don't know, really." "And what are your plans?" "Don't have any." No plans? He looked at me in disbelief. You must have thought of a situation like that. I must have? I asked. Of course I must have, and there were many different scenarios which I had been afraid of, trying to find my way out. But it did never happen so far, and I'm not a soldier and will never be. I just know a bit of self-defense, that's it. My task is collecting samples. I wouldn't even go to defend them. I'm not trained for such a thing. Jean could have thought his way out of here strategically, and Gottfried, of course. But Gottfried would have never gotten in such a situation. He was the boss behind the desk, too important for field work. He was the one analyzing my data. The thoughts in my brain stumbled over each other. What are your plans then? I asked. First, I want to get rid of the bonds, he said. Good idea, I said, feeling distant, like in a game all of a sudden. I can help you with that. You just come near and I'll try to open them. He slowly moved towards me on his knees. Why didn't you try to get rid of yours as well? He asked. My hands were too numb. I couldn't bend them to touch the ropes at all. It was true. It seemed to me that I had tried for a long time to untie them, but my hands only felt more and more sore, and as I had been on the run before they got me, and I only felt weak and tired. Unlike mine, Jem had his hands tied on his back, which made it even harder for him to open them. He turned his back to me, being so close I could smell his sweaty shirt as he moved. The light was not bright at all, so I tried to use my fingers to find the loose ends of the rope. Slowly, I told myself, take your time. There were noises outside. It was still far, but it sounded like a crying and screaming girl or woman. We both froze. The sounds were coming nearer. I can't open it that fast, I whispered. Move away from me, in case they come here. Jem had already started to throw himself around. He lost his balance and fell on his right shoulder, groaning. We now heard the girl's voice clearer. Where are you bringing me? You can't keep me here. Just leave me alone. I was quite astonished. I had been observing this place for a while, and I had never seen many people around. I knew almost all of them by sight, and they hadn't captured anyone before they had got me. I heard a slapping noise and a constrained yelp. A harsh voice said, Stop it, girl. If you don't, there are other ways as well as making you stop. Now, there was only sobbing. I heard the gates outside of the gravel, on the gravel, then the door of the stable was pushed open again. First chapter ended.